Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of Survivor Social, the Survivor podcast where we discuss Survivor with a focus on the social elements of the game. My name is Tegwyth and I am back with the amazing co-host Cara. Cara, how are you doing today? How are you feeling about the episode?
I'm good. I have a lot of thoughts on the episode. I'm excited to talk about it. I can't wait to get into it.
Incredible. Before we dig into the episode, I want to make sure to remind everybody who is watching right now, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. We are only 47 subscribers from 1,000. So we're so close to 1,000, guys. It's very, very exciting. As a reminder, we are live right now on a couple of different platforms. We've got YouTube and all of the other good stuff right here. We're on TikTok as well. And we are going to dig into questions that were sent in, as well as ones that we're getting in the feed live near the end of the episode. So make sure to stick around if you want to, have a little discussion with us about the episode. So let's dig into the episode. So Cara, let's start. Tell me your overall feelings of the episode. Episode 2 in its Survivor 46. How are you feeling?
So far out of the 2 episodes, it wasn't my favorite. I feel like I like long episodes because I feel like we get more content, but I feel like we didn't get the right content with this episode. I feel like there was a lot of things that we were missing.
Yeah, I get that. And this brings us to our first point of you can't really please everybody. I'm bringing this up because I am somebody, I really liked the episode. But I definitely feel like I'm in the minority here because the internet did not love a lot of different aspects of the episode. The 2 hours really didn't bother me. I really like getting the backstory of these people because then I think it sets us up for future payoff. So while maybe in the moment it wasn't the most interesting thing in the world, I mean, we could be getting something in the future where Dee won that immunity and we were like, oh my God, it's her toe. It's bringing the toe back in. So that's kind of what I think, because we got a lot of background and a lot of kind of mundane things. But I don't know. I like camp life. That part really didn't bother me. But Cara, you are not alone. People were not liking the 2 hours. I think that's wild.
Yeah.
But you can't really please everybody. Everyone's going to have, different feelings. And then also another big thing about the episode was the maybe sneakier, more villainous kind of parts of the episode. People were feeling a type of way about a couple of different players, which I think is really interesting. Especially since I think all I see on the internet is that people really want villains back. And I'm not saying anyone on the episode was a villain, but it was a little sneakier, some things happening.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like maybe this is the reason this season is why Jeff is over villains. Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe. And I will say that whole thing that Jeff did, I think he's fine with people being villainous. I don't think he wants people to just be mean.
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't really want a Corinne. Not that Corinne isn't great. She's great television. I love Corinne. But I don't know. I don't know. It's very interesting. But let's start, getting into the episode. Let's start talking about the social little bits. So a lot of people, I mean, how did you feel about the social aspect this week overall?
Yeah, I feel like this episode, it showed a lot of people struggling socially. I feel like it really showcased that with Venus struggling with her whole tribe, Charlie having an issue trying to kind of connect with people, Jess, Banu. I feel like that was a big part of this episode, them certain people trying to figure out how to work socially.
Absolutely. And we're only 3 days into the season, right? If you're actually on the island, you've only known these people for a very short period of time. So it's very interesting to me, especially in this 26-day game, how difficult it is to connect with people, or sometimes how very easy it is for some people to connect. Some people are BFFs like that. And then some people are I don't know. We'll get into this later, but Tevin specifically really being center focal point of that tribe, I find very interesting. And that maybe the fact that just because Tevin and Venus aren't really vibing, that's why Venus is on the outs. That's very interesting, especially in this early game.
I feel like I wish they would have shown more of that, more of why aren't they vibing? There must have been something that happened, a conversation, just something that
That's a very good point. We
Didn't
never
click
really
between
got
them.
what happened. Like, or maybe because we didn't see anything of it, maybe it was just like the lack of discussion or the lack there,
Yeah.
like there just wasn't any discussion. And then also the other thing is I feel like we also heard Venus talking about how she and Soda were really close, or maybe that was from Soda's perspective. I can't remember. And then all I really felt like I saw was Venus and Soda not really getting along. And I thought that
Yeah.
was interesting too.
Mhm.
Like there are, I don't know, we got a lot of like tidbits this
Yeah.
episode, which I think is very interesting. Let's go over to Yanu. Kenzie, we got a lot from Kenzie this episode. We got, Kenzie just saying how hard this game is. They've only been in there a couple of days. She goes off to be by herself. But then she also at one point brings Banu and Jess over to that same location to have like a strat chat. That was an interesting moment for me. How did you feel about Kenzie bringing people over to kind of talk about that?
That was interesting. I would have loved to seen the three of them team up against the other people. I feel like that would have been I feel like that would have been good TV. I feel like that would have been interesting. I don't think Tiffany and Q would have expected it. I don't know. I feel like I would have liked to see something like that happen, like some sort of blindside like that.
I think that would have been really interesting. But here's my thing, though. I think it was like a little too late.
Yeah.
Because there has already, granted, I know we just said they're only 5 days into the season, but there's all of these connections that are being had. Like, I think that Tiffany and Kenzie are tight. I could see them like going against each other much later on in the game, but I think right now, I don't think they're moving. I think they're so tight. And I personally think Kenzie bringing Banu and Jess over in that like area at that moment was a little too early to do that kind of a thing in the cycle of the game. So not too early in the game itself, but when it was shown, they hadn't even been to the challenge yet. They hadn't
Mhm.
even been to anywhere. And so I totally get that you need to talk strategy as much as you possibly can with as many people as you possibly can. But that talking strategy with Banu and Jess alone, and specifically throwing out your closest allies' names, that stressed me out.
Yeah, and we see it hurting her too because Jess did go back and tell I think she told Q about it,
Yeah.
and then he's starting to get suspicious of her. So it kind of backfired a little bit because now Q's suspicious.
Yeah. And
So
I think that I totally get that you're going to be throwing everyone's name out at some point, most likely. But just don't give the people time to go back and spin a story. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
you don't even know if you're going back to tribal council yet. And that could even be even longer for the other two people to spin a story, especially if you felt like you didn't click with that person in the beginning. So that was like, that whole bit made me nervous. What do you think about this banner we've got on here, Kenzie becoming a massive target on Yanu? Do you think that she's like a big target now?
Definitely. I think she's definitely a massive target. I mean, I feel like blindsiding her would have been a big move. I feel like it would be a big move even going forward because people are definitely going to click with her come merge, come tribe swap. I
Mhm.
think she's likable, she's bubbly. I think anyone would want to work with Kenzie. So I feel like she is a threat to the rest of her tribe.
Definitely. And that's why I keep saying she's giving Caleb. Like, I think that
Mhm.
Caleb is a very was it somebody who was very, likable. People wanted to work with him. People wanted to talk to him. People wanted to be friends with him. And that's why he was such a big target, which is why he ended up needing to play the shot in the dark and then getting voted out immediately after. And I kind of think that Kenzie's very similar to that because she really wants to be everyone's friend, which I totally get. I would do that. I would probably do the exact same thing, not gonna lie. And she's actively somebody who can bring people in, make you feel seen, make you feel like the most important person in the world. And here's the thing. That's super dangerous as somebody who's on the outs, not on the outs with Kenzie, but on the outside of her little clique. However, I do think it's a good thing for somebody who's super tight with Kenzie. Because if
Mhm.
Tiffany maybe isn't as good, I think she's pretty good at that. So I don't think, it's that. But say Tiffany's not as good at Kenzie as at you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
At that like one specific thing, if you're with Kenzie, that means that you automatically kind of have that in with people. So I could see it as a really big liability for some people and a really big asset for some others. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I completely agree with everything you just said. I think if you're with Kenzie, you're good. If you're not with her, not good. You don't want to not be with Kenzie.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm really excited. I really hope, let me just say, I hope Yanni does not go back to tribal council in the future because I really want to see where these dynamics continue forward. Like, I really want to see
Mhm.
Hugh make the merge. I really want to see Tiffany make the merge. I really want to see Kenzie make the merge just to see how they navigate it because they are some really, really interesting characters doing a lot of really interesting things this season so far, in my opinion. I don't
Yeah.
know. I like them a lot.
Mhm, and it's not fun seeing the same tribe go to tribal council
No.
every single episode. You wanna see it switch up. Like, it's not I feel like and it has to be so hard on the tribe that goes each week. And also, I feel like if you are on that tribe who goes each week, it just makes you a bigger target going forward if you make it through all of those tribal councils. So
Exactly. Exactly. It's stressful. You lose sleep literally and figuratively. And also
Mhm,
that's why I think that they need to go away. This is my little survivor switch this. They need to go away from the three tribes because two tribes and it's not you don't have to go away from it forever. It's good for some of the time, but two tribes at least is it's less likely for somebody to be, decimated. And I think that makes
mhm.
it so there are interesting things happen because of that. And bring back two tribes. That's my little pitch to Survivor for that.
I
But
agree.
thank you. Okay, great. Let me know if you're here on the live. Let me know in the comments if you agree. If you would prefer two tribes or if you like the three tribes and you want to keep the three tribes the same. All right, let's continue on. Randon. Interesting episode for Randon. Let's talk about Randon a little bit.
Mhm.
Randon found the Beware advantage and shared the Beware advantage with Venus. Um, that was let's Orange is a very interesting tribe to begin with. It's a lot of different dynamics, a lot of really strong personalities, a lot of interesting people. And Randon and Venus came together. I
I
did
love
not
it.
that have on my bingo card. I did not see that coming
No.
at all.
I'm happy that this happened. I feel like they both need each other. I feel like they're definitely both on the outs of that tribe, so them coming together was perfect. Perfect scenario for the both of them, and to have an advan to be able to almost get the advantage is great for them. This is what they needed, both of them.
Let me just say, when I first watched the episode and Randon decided to like bring Venus in and tell Venus about the advantage, I was super nervous. And I still kind of am nervous. Because I think an advantage is a really good way to strengthen an alliance. I think it's a really difficult thing to build an alliance because the thing is, he hadn't really been working with Venus yet. The way from what we saw, the way that he started working with Venus was, hey, here is, this advantage that I have. So that means you don't really trust that person 100%. You really don't really know. So I was a little nervous that Randon was telling Venus this because like Venus doesn't know you. What if Venus just runs and tells somebody else that you have the Beware advantage? That's not good for you. And that's probably better for Venus because she then has some kind of like knowledge and not in the game, knowledge is power. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the more I think about it, the more I kind of like this move for Randon. And I kind of am wavering between whether or not I think it's a really good Randon move versus a really bad Randon move. And I don't know. If you were Venus, what would you do? Would you keep that to yourself and really try to
Mm.
help Randon find the Beware advantage? Or would you use that knowledge to your advantage and tell somebody else?
Hmm. I feel like Venus is in a hard spot right now, and, like, if I was her in this scenario, I don't know if I guess it would depend if we're going to tribal council or something, but I feel like she's so low on the totem pole on that tribe that I think this is something that she could use to her advantage. I think it's worth trusting Randon, working with him,
Mhm.
and building that connection with him since no one else is really giving her the time of day on the tribe. So why not try and work with someone that's trusting you with something than going to tell people who don't want anything to do with you.
I totally agree. I
So,
think you're totally right. I think it's better for Venus to keep it to herself. Just because the issue also here is that if it gets back to Randon, if you let it out and you tell somebody and then they go and tell Randon, then nobody trusts you. You've burned so
Exactly.
many bridges. So I was at the beginning, I first was like, oh gosh, why would you do that, Randon? Don't tell Venus. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I kind of think that that was a good move for Randon and a really good read also for Randon. I love it when players look at what's happening, look at the dynamics in their tribe, clock it accurately, and be like, I don't want the person on the bottom to go. I want them to trust me. I want them to work with me and really depend on me. That is a really good read and a really good move, in my opinion. And Randon really, I was worried he was going to be an early boot. I really like this move for Randon.
I agree. Completely agree. I think this was best case scenario for him and for Venus, I think.
Yeah. The only thing better for Venus if she found it
Exactly.
herself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But yeah, let's also talk about just like Venus specifically. Like I know we talked about it a little bit, but Venus specifically on that tribe, she feels alone. And I think we talked about this a little bit, but I just wish we would just see more of Tevin's like thought process, Soda's thought process. Who else was on that tribe? Liz's thought process. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like I get where everyone kind of is. I just wish I had more. They had so much time.
Yeah. I know. I feel like we need more backstory as to why it is the way it is. Like, we know that Soda and Venus have like this connection, but Soda is now kind of trying to shy away from it because everyone else is kind of against Venus. But like, why? Like, what happened that everyone is so against her? And it
I
made me feel bad for her watching the episode. I was like, if that was me, I would hate to be in that scenario. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to watch, and I genuinely feel like nothing really happened. I think it was just at one point somebody thought she was a threat, and then she was like, "Okay, you think I'm a threat? Then I'm gonna go look for idols now." And somebody was like, "Oh my God, she's looking for idols. She's a threat." It was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like it was almost like it didn't really matter what she did, just because she was there, she's the threat.
Yeah.
It's hard,
Yeah.
and that's so also another reason why I don't like these smaller tribes is because I feel like things like that don't like you're able to wiggle your way out a little bit more on a bigger tribe. You can hide more, you can find more people to work with, but when there are only 5 other people on a tribe that you have to work with, that's super difficult to like, I don't know, work around, right?
Totally. And especially if you can't find like at least one person that you can jive with and like team up with, then it's just over for you. I'm not a fan of the 3 tribes. I for now,
For
not a
now.
fan of it. I feel like it's not fair.
Yeah,
Not
I agree.
fair. It
I
doesn't give
agree.
everyone a fair shot.
I agree. I agree. And also it's just like I'm tired of it. Let's move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm tired
It's
of seeing this.
over.
Yeah, it's over. It's done. Bring it back in 5 seasons. We don't need it right
Yeah.
now. Okay, let's go on to the green tribe. What's the green tribe called? I'm still learning their names.
Tiga.
Oh, there we go. Charlie's Angels still in effect. Can I just say shout out to the people who are on the season because I'm loving that you're naming alliances and it's not just your tribe name plus how many people are in their alliance. Like Charlie's Angels, the other one, that TV show, the Andy Griffith
Andy
show,
Griffith.
the
Yes.
Andy Griffith Alliance, like so good. I love it. Keep naming alliances. I'm here for it. But I did find it interesting. I felt like the women on that tribe were a tight 3, and I'm feeling like Maria and Charlie are not feeling it's happening. They are tight, it seems.
Yeah, I love the Maria Charlie duo. I think that's
It's
great. I think that's
so
great for
good.
them.
It's so good. And we got the flashback of Denise and Malcolm. That was such
Yeah.
a fun flashback, number one. And I just love that parallel between Maria and Charlie and Denise and Malcolm. I think it's great. Does that mean Maria's going to win the season?
I mean,
I mean, last time we saw a flashback last season was when Austin and Dee were talking, or when Austin was like, I wish I could find my Amber on the island. And it did a flashback to Amber and Rob during All Stars. And guess what happened? Austin came in second, just like Rob, and Amber won, just like Dee. So, I don't know. Conspiracy theories. But I really hope that they're able to pull this off. I would love for them to continue through the season as a Malcolm and Denise. I think that's such a great move, great call. And do you think people will see it coming?
No, I don't think so. I think it's great for them. I don't think anyone see it coming. I think it's great for the two of them because the people that Charlie might connect with might be different from who Maria would connect with and vice versa. So I think it's great. I think it's great. I think they can go far with this.
Agreed. Speaking of Charlie, we got like a 30-minute thing about Metallica versus Taylor Swift. How did you feel about that segment?
Not my favorite. I think it went on for a little bit too long.
I will say
I mean,
I'm very
impressive
impressed
for
with
both of
100
them.
songs. I don't think I could name 100 songs from any band ever.
Oh, it just kept going.
It just kept going. I'm like, are you?
Charlie could have kept going.
Also, was anybody fact checking that they both were telling the truth and those were all Taylor Swift and Metallica songs? Like, I feel like a producer needed to be off the sidelines. I'm sorry, it was actually called this song or like so and so instead of this thing that you just said. You're out. No. That wasn't
saying anything.
They really could have been like, and the next song is called Bird Fly High. Oh yeah, you haven't heard Bird Fly High? It's so good. like really. But I love that they were truthful. I loved that. Yeah. It was very impressive. I also love to picture the editor who's working on that and being like, oh my God, how many songs is this now? 102. Jesus. Okay, is it almost done? Oh my God, 107. Can we please end this?
Going.
Somebody behind a computer. Swear to God, if they keep doing this, we're going to take this segment out.
I think they had 2 hours.
Right. They had to fill the time somehow. It went on a little long, but I will say, like I said earlier, I do like to kind of see how they actually are at camp. Like, we don't really see that often. We don't really see, just people trying to fill the time, because I think one of the things that I forget a lot as a Survivor fan is they're out there with literally nothing. No board games, no books, no TV, no phone, no nothing. And it's just the only entertainment you have is 5 other people, or in Yanu's case, 3 other people now. So I just think, it's kind of fun to see that. It did go on a little long, I will say, but
yeah, I'm sure it wasn't as fun for the rest of the tribe members watching it, but I'm sure it was fun for Charlie and Ben. So
yeah.
And also I feel like this was, like I said, it showed Charlie struggling socially, but I feel like this and the Maria alliance thing, I feel like this was also a building episode for him. With these 2 things, I feel like this was also building him socially. So
yeah, and I think
there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, we love to see when I love it when people are like, I love when I see people change, right? And I know this, I don't know, did you see the article? There was a Time article about the best new era Survivor players so far. And it was very interesting. It had like 10 different people on it. And one of the notable people that wasn't on the list was Emily from last season, who I think is probably one of the best new eras just personally. And a lot of people disagree with me because they were like, but she would have been the first one voted off. But I realized that one thing that I really love is seeing how somebody takes feedback and then changes with it. And so like, I really love to see people growing, specifically strategically. I like it when they also, grow in other aspects, just like personally or whatever. But like, I love when people can adapt and change in this game, because you need to adapt to stay in this game. And so I do love it when we see that happening. And I definitely think that we're seeing some of that this season.
Definitely. I completely agree. Love a good growth arc.
Love a good growth arc. Speaking of arc or arch, we're not going to talk about the challenge too much, but I do want to talk about the Matt chat.
Yes. There was a lot.
It was heated, and there was a lot of chatting going on there. What was that about? What were your takes on that?
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's not something we normally see, especially like they were throwing some digs at Jelinski.
Whoa,
which was that was shocking.
Let the man defend himself.
And honestly, this was the challenge for him. So they're all laughing at him, but he would have slayed this challenge if he was there.
He really would have. He would have just been there being like, all right, we're done.
He could have held the whole thing up.
I know.
They needed him.
And like, what does he have? Like, I think he said online that he had like a 6 foot, 7 foot wingspan. So like he literally could have been several foot wingspan. Good one. That was a good one, Cara. Yeah, it was brutal that he wasn't there for that. That looked like a brutal challenge. Like,
Yeah.
it looked incredibly difficult, and the frustration that we saw was
Yeah.
real. So real. Like, yelling, and it wasn't just on Yanu, like, people were yelling on a lot of the
Everyone.
tribes.
Mhm.
All of the tribes.
Which I thought it was interesting, I guess, kind of moving away from we'll go back to the Matt talk, but, like, Tiffany, how she was, like, so upset after because she was like, "This isn't how I am," and everything, like, during the challenge, I guess, how she was acting, but, like, I feel like no one was focusing on that because everyone was, like, high emotion during it, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I
Yeah,
don't think other people in other tribes were like, "Oh, Tiffany is being, like, so emotional," but I don't think anyone would really have noticed that, you
I think
know?
you're probably right. I definitely think you're probably right. I do find that little segment of Tiffany talking very interesting because, I
Mhm.
think you're 100% right that, especially in a challenge like that, people aren't going to be really are going to be noticing it, but also they might not really they'll take it with a grain of salt because, like, they all knew how hard the challenge was. Like, they all understood what was
Yeah.
going on. But seeing her after that was hard to, like, that was so hard to watch because not only are you hungry and tired and you're with these random people that you've never met before, but you also have to make sure that you're essentially performing. You're performing for people, and you want to make sure that, and she was like, I hope that people aren't seeing me in a way that was, I mean, it's just so hard, and it's just so
Yeah.
much harder, especially for women and people of color. Like, they have to take people aren't going into Survivor with you're not a blank slate. You're going into Survivor with, other people, your biases, the things that you know in your past or you've been through. And so, like, marginalized people have to sometimes, like, go against what other people might see them. They don't want to be stereotyped and they don't want to be whatever. And just seeing that, really, that I thought this was an emotional episode for a lot of people, but that, like, I
Yeah.
was like crying on my sofa because that was
Mhm.
a hard thing to watch, and I just wanted her to, like, be
Yeah.
okay.
No, that was a huge moment, and I feel like when she said, like, why she was so upset, I was like, "Oh, like, I didn't expect that," you
Yeah.
know? I
Yeah.
was thinking maybe she was just upset I don't know. I
I
feel like
know.
it was a big moment.
Yeah, it was a big moment, and it's just, and it just also is a good reminder for us fans that, like, the people out there, they're going through a lot. They're going through so much,
Mhm.
and
They're
there's so
real
much going on
people.
in their mind. Exactly. And we don't really know what will always motivate them. Sometimes it'll be something kind of out of left field,
Mhm.
or you'll see it coming. But I thought, yeah, that was a really big moment. Let's go back to the Matt chat
Yeah.
though,
Yes.
because there was also a big moment between Q and Sedacia.
Yes. Which
Q
was
and
I feel
Soda.
like that was interesting too. I feel like we don't normally see, like,
No.
different parties, like, really interacting that much like that, or different
No, and that
tribes.
was that was brutal. I was just going, "What is happening right now?" Because here's the thing, like, obviously, we saw, like, last season, for example, like, Emily and Bruce, they went at it at the very beginning, and
Mhm.
they had to then, when they merged together, they had to then overcome that, and I think it's
Yeah.
really hard when you're not living with that person, when you don't know them, to, like, yell because 'cause you're gonna meet them. Hopefully, one day, you'll meet them in the game, and I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't come back to bite either of them.
I know. That was a really interesting moment. I feel like I don't think it needed to get that heated at all.
No. I agree. I will say there's a very funny photo of everyone on the Orange Tribe on Nami, like going like, "Oh," and Soda looking so serious. Like, she was like the most serious person you've ever seen in your entire life, and everyone else in the tribe is going like, "Oh,"
When she
like,
said,
"What's
"How's the
happening?"
food?" I was like even I was like,
Mouth what like
"Savage."
I was shocked. I was shocked. It was incredible. Great television.
Mhm.
Great
Oh, yeah.
television, but, like, that was wild. And also,
She
let's
has
have
some good
a
one-liners.
she does. The one-liners this episode were out of control. Out of control.
Mhm.
What did Tiffany say at Tribal Council? Like, "Don't heat the seat up," or
Oh,
something, or don't someone in the comments, remind us what Tiffany
yeah,
said because it
I
was
know what
so
you're
good.
talking about.
It was
Mhm.
so good. But one more thing about the Matt chat. What is it with Jeff and knives?
Oh my god, I know.
Does that man always have a knife on him? He just goes, he's in West Side Story, Sharks and Jets. He's always got a knife on him, ready to. come out and cut something off of an idol. What? He is
loves
so
the
dramatic.
knives.
He is so
I
dramatic.
felt so bad when he cut the little buff that they made up. I felt so bad.
That
He
was
couldn't
just
leave it.
it was such a weird moment. And then it was really funny. I don't know if you guys listened to On Fire with Jeff Probst, but then afterwards, like the co-host not D asked Jeff, like, do you like it when they talk back to you? And he's like, yes, I love it. I love when there's like banter. He loves banter. And I'm like, because on the sidelines, it makes me cringe. It's like when somebody is talking back to the teacher and I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble too here. Like, I don't want to, what's going on? Stop. It's like in a classroom when somebody's like talking back to the teacher. I didn't like it, but I do. It's good. It is good television, but there was a lot of like, Jeff, you're still wearing orange on your hat. Crazy.
We're getting comfortable with Jeff.
I know.
And you know, there was another thing that I didn't really pick up on, but then I was reading about it after when Hunter said last name first out. I didn't really think anything really of it. I thought he was just making like a joke or whatever. But then I saw people saying that it might be because Jeff has some favorites that go by their last name. So they were thinking maybe that's why Jelinski went by his last name. I don't know.
Interesting.
I thought that was interesting.
I didn't hear it was Hunter that said that. I didn't hear it at first. And I was like, and everyone reacted. I was like, how did I miss that? What did I miss? What did he say? What did he say? And then when I heard it again, I was like, wow, these people are really taking shots at someone who could not defend themselves right now.
And he was like there for like 3 days, maybe. Like,
yeah. I guess they got a lot of material. Another funny thing that happened at the challenge, which I loved, Liz and Mo sitting out, hysterical because they are twins. There was a mirror,
literal twins.
Set out, and there was a mirror, and the fact that they also like, I didn't get that. Oh, Siri is trying to talk to me. How do I make Siri stop?
Yeah, no, them talking to each other while on the benches was so funny. I thought that was great. That was great TV. Not even plans, but great.
It was such great television. And the fact that they also moved the benches further apart because of Claire Rafson, because they didn't really want people to talk to each other. And then they were like, no, we're still going to talk. We'll still chat. Loved it. Incredible. Amazing.
How could they not? They're the same person. They have to communicate.
They have to understand what's going on. They're long lost twins who are meeting at a camp for the first time. And then the last thing I want to talk about at the challenge is just like everyone was so intense. I don't think I've ever seen such an intense challenge from so many people. Like Banu was yelling, Q was yelling, Liz was yelling. Like I don't think there was a person who wasn't yelling.
Yeah.
Everyone
was so true. It was so intense.
It was so intense.
And for it to be the second challenge, like the second immunity challenge, like it was a big one.
Now, did you think that Yanu was going to lose going into the episode? Did you think that they were going to win? They were going to lose?
Yeah, I didn't have high hopes for them going into it. I was kind of like, I think we're going to see them back at Tribal Council. But I was really hoping that I would be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things, so I was hoping I'd be wrong about that. But I feel like the odds were stacked against them.
I know. I was hoping. I got my nails done in purple to try to support them, hopefully bring them some good luck. It did not work, clearly. But we get back from the challenge and a lot happens, right? We talked about Tiffany and the emotions were really, really high. But then we find out a fake idol was made. And they're rehiding the fake idol to maybe bamboozle Jess. How did you feel about the fake idol? Because the internet feels lots of different ways about it.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was unnecessary. I don't think they needed that at all. Like, they had the numbers. Why did they need to make her go through the whole fake idol? And it's not even like she found it. Like, they gave it to her. So it's not even like, I don't know. I didn't think it was a necessary thing for them to do.
So here is where, so you agree with like 70% of the internet. I agree with like 30% of the internet because I definitely think it was necessary. Here's why I think it was necessary. Because we have seen now the shot in the dark hit 2 times, right? Obviously, the people, when they went out, they only saw 1 time and it didn't matter because I think it was Jamie who played it and got it and she didn't get any votes against her. So it didn't really matter. The other one, obviously, they negated every single vote at tribal council, and it kind of flipped the game on the head because Caleb was supposed to go out. Instead, J. Maya goes out, changes quite a bit, and then Caleb ends up being the mayor of Ponderosa. And I don't know, the season could have gone in a much different way if that had not happened. So the shot in the dark is not something that I think people need to just like totally disregard, because it's hit twice and it's changed the game because of it. So I think that that's super important, number one. But number two, I think that a lot of people are like, well, this is not necessary because the shot in the dark, like, it's only a 1 in 6, and they could have just made Jess feel safe. I think Jess is incredibly intelligent and incredibly smart. And I don't think that if she felt on the outs the entire time, then when they get back to tribal, or when they get back from the challenge, that she's going to be like, oh, everyone's telling me I'm fine, so must mean I'm okay. I think she would totally be like, no, everyone's telling me I'm fine, which means I must not be fine. And then I think that she would definitely play the shot in the dark. This kind of ensures that she does not play the shot in the dark only if she believes that it is a real idol, right? So you have to make sure that she believes it's a real idol. So you do have to kind of be a little tricky, maybe a little, people think like a little mean, but with the shot in the dark in play, I think it is something that you have to really consider, because you can either completely blindside somebody and make them, but that means you have to make sure that they never feel out, they're never on the outs. And that also requires quite a bit of lying. You know, you have to make sure that they feel really comfortable all the time and they felt comfortable for forever and not just after the challenge. Or you can do something a little bit sneaky, a little bit, devious, and make a fake idol and do it this way. And so while I get that it's kind of, maybe I get why people would like kind of upset with it and kind of, feeling a kind of way, I get why it was kind of a necessity. That's my 2 cents on that, just because you agree with like so many people out there. And I am very much in the minority on feeling like this, but I don't know. I get.
Right. I guess I wasn't really thinking about shot in the dark, but I guess we never really saw her even say that she was considering playing her shot in the dark, Maybe Q got to her with the idol before we got to see her consider that. But also I feel like, when did we didn't really, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed it, but I don't think we saw Q and Jess really even have this like bond. When did they bond?
That's a good question. I don't know when that bond happened. I don't know when this Q, Banu, Jess bond happened to where Q was like, she'll trust me. She'll trust me.
And also, I feel like she was kind of skeptical about the idol, and like when it happened too. Like she kept being like, is it real? Is it fake? So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like she was skeptical. We never heard her say shot in the dark. I don't think. Maybe she said it.
Well, we heard Tiffany and Kenzie talk about the reason why they were giving her the fake idol was to negate the shot in the dark. So that was their reasoning. But the other thing is like, she never talked about the shot in the dark, but I don't think if I'm out there and I think the votes are coming my way, I'm not going to tell somebody, like I might tell somebody I'm playing the shot in the dark, but it also could be like, I might not tell people. I might just like keep that to myself. True. And play it. Because then if I start saying I'm gonna play the shot in the dark and you're not actually in trouble, then that could go another way, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true.
I think the motivation for actually having the fake idol and doing the fake idol is, it makes sense for the shot in the dark, whether or not Jess said herself that she was going to play the shot in the dark, because she still could, and it still could mean that she's safe. I think, and this is why the shot in the dark is kind of interesting, because it really, like, you really have to take that into account, in my opinion. I don't know. How would you feel, right? Like, if you were kind of feeling on the outs to begin with, but then you get back from the challenge and all of a sudden people are feeling like you're good. Would you think that you would feel like you would believe that? Because I don't know. I think I would have trouble believing that.
Yeah, I feel like, and she knew she was kind of like she knew it could have been her last tribal council. So why would she? So I feel like she was definitely feeling a little skeptical. So she probably was thinking about it.
It's an interesting.
So if I was her, I would be thinking about it. Yeah.
Like it's interesting. What if? Because like, yeah, there's a very good chance that it wouldn't have hit the shot in the dark, but there's also the chance. So that's why the shot in the dark is interesting, I think, for this exact reason, because like it does bring in some complications. And it didn't feel like I don't know if you remember from David versus Goliath when Angelina near the end like did the fake idol thing to Dr. Allison, and that didn't feel like, that felt so different to me than this, because that felt kind of like mean-spirited and just like adding an insult to injury. But I feel like there was actually maybe some strategy involved in this. But
Yeah, they had a reason why they did this. It wasn't just to be mean.
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I hope not. No, I don't think it was. It wasn't.
No.
But it's an interesting discussion because the internet is kind of like all over the place. But now let's talk about tribal council. And that was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
That was kind of a mess. A lot was happening there.
A lot was happening. I feel like if I was at a tribal council, I feel like I would be so confused with what people are saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it was
like it's hard to.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just feel like it's hard to like. Well, maybe it's different when you're in it, but I feel like watching it, I feel like I would be confused.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
and it was also like there was some like very straightforward things like between Kenzie and Jess, but then there was also some kind of like confusing things. And then let's talk about Banu for a second. Banu is certain it's him, gets up, starts talking to people, starts confusing, some things are going on, sits back down, sees his name written once, and immediately puts his bag on his shoulder. He was certain it was him. Now, is Banu somebody that you would want to work with, or do you think he's just too all over the place, too emotional?
I think it's risky, but I think if you understand him, I feel like he's someone that you could work with, and I feel like he would be a good ally. I feel like he would be a loyal ally. So I feel like he would be good. But I don't think he's really close with I feel like he's not really with anyone else on the tribe, so I feel like maybe he's not good for them, but I feel like if they worked it the right way, he would be good, you know?
Yeah. I kind of agree because people are like, he can't lie. You can't really work with him. But do you think that could also be a benefit? Working with somebody who can't lie? Now, granted, you can't bring them in on like devious deeds, but you then know if they're ever trying to go against you. You know that they're, you know when they're lying. I don't know. I think it's an interesting thought, right? Because like, is it just too much, or is it something that you can actually use to your advantage?
Which we kind of see if you're watching Australian Survivor, we kind of see that with Kitty and like Kirby. I feel like that's that same kind of thing. Like they're like, oh, she can't lie, so I know what she's telling me the truth or what she's lying.
Exactly. I was thinking exactly Kitty. Exactly. Because when you can't lie, you know when somebody is gonna when they're lying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, were you surprised in the end that it ended up being Jess, or how did you feel about that?
I wasn't surprised, but I was kind of hoping that they would have pulled off maybe a blindside. I don't know. I feel like it would have been interesting if it ended up being Kenzie, or if they decided to flip at tribal council and it was Banu who went home, you know, and they decided, oh, he's a liability, we got to get him out now. I feel like it would have been interesting, but I'm not surprised that it was Jess, especially since at the first one they were considering her. So
yeah, I wasn't surprised either. I will say the editing kind of caught me off guard because at the end, I mean, I kind of was surprised it was Jess. Because at the beginning we heard Kenzie say like, I am amazing at Survivor or something, or like she said something like in that vein. And usually if you say something, if somebody says something like that in an episode, usually they're gone that episode. And so I was really worried about that meant that, it was Kenzie's time to go. But it obviously ended up being Jess, pretty unanimous. Jess voted Banu, everyone else voted Jess. So pretty straightforward. I'm sad to see Jess go. I think that, a lot of iconic people leave early. Like, I think if you're cast on Survivor, you'll be good at Survivor, whether that's good at the TV portion of Survivor or good at the game portion of Survivor. And so definitely sad to see her go, but I do understand why they did it, but it's too bad.
It is. I would have liked to see her. I feel like if she would have stayed longer, I feel like her story arc would have been great.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Well, we have some a commercial for you guys, and then we're going to be coming back with social hour and award season and all of that good stuff. So we'll see you in just a second.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is time for Social Hour. We are going to be getting into some questions that we got, as well as just, talking to the people who are watching live. So if you have any questions about the episode, about anything, just make sure to put them in the comments or in the live chat. But let's get into some of the questions that we got ahead of time. So let's start. We got this question from Hansel Elgort. They wrote, how cool would it be for them to surprise us with an Edge of Extinction mid-season, maybe for season 50? How do you feel about something like that?
I think that would be fun. I was thinking at the beginning of this past episode, I was like, what if they come back,
That would be iconic.
That'd be fun.
I love the Outcast twists from Pearl Islands. I would love for them to do that. As long as they do it in the middle and not near the end, I'll be a happy gal. But season 50, that'd be so good. I feel like great. It would be, I feel like they wouldn't be able to surprise us. Or they wouldn't want to surprise us because they want that, that good content. That good content. But I do think it would be a fun little twist. How did you feel about Edge of Extinction in general?
Yeah, I guess I go back and forth with it. I like that it gives them another chance, but also, is it really that fair? You got voted off. Is it fair to come back and then potentially win? I'm 50-50 on it.
I kind of get that too. I'm kind of 50-50 on it too. Sometimes I think it's fun. Sometimes I don't like it. I just think,
bring them
back. Yeah, bring them back at merge and then don't do it again. And then I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
We've got this question from Chris. He asked, Taylor Swift or Metallica?
Ooh.
I don't know. I'd probably have to say Taylor Swift. But not because I like Taylor Swift, but I just don't know Metallica.
I would say the same.
Very different music genre.
Very different.
I don't think they could be more different. Maybe it could be opera and Metallica. That could be more different, maybe. But that's a big divide. If it's asked me again with what's a light version of Metallica? I don't know, Fall Out Boy, because I would choose Fall Out Boy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I don't
know. I think that segment is going to be something that people really like to talk about in the future. It was a really fun segment.
I agree.
Let's go to the next question. We've got this question from Cherally. Do you feel that it was too mean to give Jess the fake idol? I felt it was unnecessary. So we talked about this a little bit before, but I felt like it was totally okay.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like it was mean. I did feel like it was a little bit unnecessary, but I feel like she was skeptical the whole time anyway, so I feel like it wasn't really she was that hurt by it. She went into it being a little skeptical that it was real, so.
Yeah, exactly. And also, let me just say, it's not like Randy playing it, Randy playing the fake idol in Gabon. He was shocked. I don't think she was very shocked that it was fake.
No.
Not that saying that makes it better. I do think it makes it a little bit more palatable. Okay, so let's get to the next question. The next question is from Kenzie's cousin once removed. Kenzie's cousin asks, but how blue were Kenzie's eyes though?
They were blue.
They were the most blue eyes. I remember last season when Kelly, there was an episode where Kelly was out there and everyone was like, oh my God, Kelly's eyes. And I'm like, Kenzie's eyes were they weren't even blue. They were teal.
They were really pretty. She has really nice eyes.
Contacts. I don't get that.
Yeah.
As a brown-eyed girl, I don't understand how somebody's eyes can be a paint color. Her eyes.
I can't relate.
Crazy. It was incredible. All right, we've got another question from Buff Collector. So they ask, Shouldn't Yanu and Nami at least make an effort at placating Jess / Venus? Icing them out is so dangerous and clearly makes it more obvious to them that they need to look for idols. Interesting. I definitely think you need to placate people.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I just think, you never want someone to feel like they're on the outs. But this is that's the danger though of a good social player, because if you obviously pre-jury doesn't matter as much, but like post-jury, if you make somebody feel so comfortable, if you make someone feel so comfortable, then they, are really mad when you get voted out and they might vote against you. So I think that there is pros and cons, but early on, you definitely don't want people to feel like they're on the outs.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not good. Yeah, no, exactly. I feel like Venus feels so on the outs that say all of them make it to merch, she's not going to bother with any of them, which isn't good for any of them either. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she literally was like, I'm washing my hands of this. I don't want to play with any of these people. I don't like them.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be a swap?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it'll be really interesting. I think it's going to be incredibly interesting where people end up, but then how those dynamics play, because I truly think Venus is going to be like, bye, goodbye.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. I hope it happens.
Me too.
I hope it happens soon.
This isn't a question, but somebody had a comment saying, why does Cara look like Venus? I get it. I see it.
Ooh,
I see it.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally
she's so
see
pretty.
it.
I'll take it.
I totally see it. We've got another question on TikTok. Ben Bixby says, what do you think of the new Beware Advantage? What's your fave Beware Advantage so far? The new, 46 Beware Advantage, I'm fine with. I think it's okay. I like the fact that they're on a time crunch, that they can only really find the advantage while they have to be able to, kind of move and groove, like when you're going to tribal council. So I think it's interesting to have that timing. My Beware Advantage, just purely from an entertainment, my favorite Beware Advantage, purely from an entertainment standpoint, has got to be broccoli looks like trees. Can I eat trees or whatever it is? That was so weird and random, but so iconic. I love it.
That was a good one. I did enjoy that. It was just so funny seeing how they would say these things, these weird things.
And there are people who had to say the same thing at 9 times in a row. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Just from a pure entertainment standpoint, 10 out of 10. Incredible. How do you feel about this season's Beware Advantage, though?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I don't mind it. I kind of wish they would just hide an idol, and then just I feel like it's so different when someone finds a Beware Advantage versus just finding an idol. I feel like the excitement is just so different. The vibe is different, but I don't mind this one. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I honestly like it better than last season, where it was like, keep digging. Oh, you know what I will say, burning the wax at tribal council, that might be my favorite.
Ooh.
Because that made an iconic moment. I don't know. There are a lot of good ones.
Oh, that was an iconic moment.
Oh, there are some good ones, let me just say. We have another question. Momo's #1 fan asks, who's your favorite contestant on the season so far? I have an addendum to that. Who's your favorite contestant socially, favorite social player so far? Doesn't mean that they're performing the best socially this season or so far, but maybe you just see good things for them in the future. And then also your favorite strategic player so far in a different sense.
I think I'm really enjoying Ben. I feel like he's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, I think he's fun. And then strategically, I don't know.
You don't know? I feel like I don't know my favorite socially, but my favorite strategic is Maria so far.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think she's super interesting. I think she's got a lot of potential. I think she's making some really smart moves and she's doing a lot of smart things. And I love what she's doing. So I would probably have to say Maria for that. But like my favorite social player, I don't know. Honestly, hot take Q. I'm loving what Q is doing because he is not the most overtly social, and yet somehow everybody on his tribe wants to work with him. And not just because he's physical. They want to work with him in other ways. And so I think Q is doing a lot. And I kind of think that is going to propel him forward in a really good way. I like Q a lot this season.
Yeah, he's really doing a great job on his tribe.
Yeah, right? It's really good. It's really good. All right, so that's all we've got for questions. So we're going to be moving on to our next segment of this little end game. We've got Cara's sweet thing of the episode. I love this. Cara, what is your tell the listeners, if you're new, what is the sweet thing of the episode, and then what you ended up choosing?
So a sweet thing in general, I have a podcast called the Sweet Things Podcast, and at the end of each episode, we talk about our favorite like snack or food or drink or anything. So for Survivor, it's a little different because food isn't really a thing on Survivor. So I just keep it general. It's something cute, I think, is what I'm going for in each episode. So for this one, my Survivor sweet thing is the immunity challenge idol. I feel like they're just so cute.
With the little yellow band on it. Also, I like they zhuzhed it up.
Yes, I love it. I think they're so cute. So different, so cute.
I love it. Yes. Cara's sweet thing, the immunity idol. Do you like the small one or the big one? Which one do you prefer?
Ooh. Oh my God, how can you decide? They're both,
I know.
I can't decide. They're too cute.
If you choose a favorite, the other one will be mad at you. The other one will hear.
So true. I can't pick a favorite.
You can't. And last but not least, the most important part of Survivor Social, the most coveted part, the Social Butterfly Award. It is here. It is time. If you don't know what this is, we give this out at the end of every single Survivor Social episode. It is that person that we think did the best socially this episode. It had to be this episode. So Cara, do you have somebody in mind that you wanna award this to?
Yeah, you kind of got me thinking, and I think I'm giving it to Q because I think he worked everybody on his tribe. He worked Jess, Banu. I think the other two, Kenzie, Tiffany, I think he's working his way socially. I think you're right on that. So I'm giving it to Q.
I will probably also be giving it to Q, but I almost thought about giving it to somebody on a non-losing tribe, on a winning tribe. And I almost thought about giving it to Randon, even though he didn't really do the best socially, but I do think that he made a correct read, and lent out a hand to somebody who didn't have that hand at the moment, which I think is a really important thing to do socially. I think it really sets you up for success in the future. But I think overall social game, I definitely think that Q, I think he was, I don't know, he's not the most overtly social, but everyone seems to like him and seems to want to work with him.
What he's doing is working for him. So he's doing something right.
Exactly. Let us know in the comments if you felt differently, if you would have given the Survivors or the Social Butterfly Award to somebody else. But you know what? Q, you win it this week. Congratulations. I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in and chatting with us tonight about the episode. We love talking to you guys about this. And we, love good episodes, bad. Doesn't matter if people loved it or hated it. We will always be here talking about it. We've got some really, really fun things lined up for the next couple of episodes. So I really hope to see you guys next. Cara, as always, like to the end of the episode, where can people find you? What's new? How can we get in touch?
Okay, you can find me at the Sweet Things Podcast. If you want to hear me talk more about just random things, and me and my cousin Kateri, you can follow us there. We release episodes on Thursdays. And you could also find me at XOX_Cara.
Incredible. And you can always find me at Survivor_Simulation on TikTok or just Tegwyth on most other places. We love, chatting with you guys, talking to you all. So please make sure it's, reach out, say hi, give us a follow. As a reminder, we wanted to tell you the lineup coming up for Survivor Now. Stock Watch is going to be Friday tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you want to, listen to them talk about all of the different where people are at in their stocks rising or falling. Make sure to check them out tomorrow at 2 p.m. Well, as always on YouTube and Spotify. And then the Got Something For You pod on Saturday is going to be at 3 p.m. So make sure if you have the time, if you're interested, to go check those out. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube and Spotify. And Cara, did you have anything else that you wanted to, mention or say before we close out the pod?
Yeah, no, I feel like we covered it all. Just make sure you subscribe because we're almost at 1,000 subscribers.
We're so close. It's crazy. It's crazy. 1,000 incredible humans out there. But if that's it, then thank you all so much for listening and talking with us. We absolutely love it. But we will see you next week for episode 3 of Survivor Social. But everyone stay social. Goodbye. Mwah.